So am I, apparently.
Right. You know what? It won't let me record you on the call. What a twat. Let me try my other voice recorder, mate. I've got two. I've got three.
He's got all the voice recorders. He ain't fucking about.
Yes, this one's fucking recording now, mate. Yes.
We're on it, mate.
Yeah. We're cooking, mate. We're
Fucking
cooking.
squared away, innit?
Yeah, let me just pull the box out of my fucking ass and make sure I'm comfortable. We're good. I'm just massive. The missus is from Philippines. She's got a big fucking plate of noodles and chicken and stir fry vegetables. I just yammed a lot before I came out, and I thought this is gonna fucking do me right in now. So I got my bottle of water. I'm ready, mate.
You're ready. You'll be falling asleep. You'll be going like that in a minute. Fucking hell, I'm in a food.
It'd be half an hour of me just fucking catching flies.
Catching flies, mate. Rich, welcome. Welcome to the Grind Zero podcast. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome, mate. We've been waiting a while, but how long have we been waiting to get this? It's a good few months, isn't it?
Good couple of months, mate, if that. Yeah.
I know. It's just been stupid busy, mate. But it's like everything I've been doing is a lot of waiting.
Hurry up and
like
wait.
In the army, up and wait, isn't it? Exactly that. And that's what it was. It was when I was inside, I did my veteran support and everything was planned, and I wrote the program and the course about transition for veterans. You know what it's like. It's hard, isn't it? It's really hard.
Yeah.
And the plan was to go and deliver that, and then of course COVID kicked off, and it set about 2 years. So that's only cool. Now is it beginning to make a difference. You know, I'm in that, which is nice.
Well, at least now it's starting to ramp up a little bit. Like, I'm sure it's annoying. I'm sure it's annoying at the minute how busy you are. You're like, I wish I had some fucking free time, like. But when it's all done, you'll be like, oh fuck it, I smashed that.
Yeah, I'm like that. The thing is, I don't rest until I'm happy things are done. Probably why I got fucking 15 years for selling coke, mate. I wasn't happy until things were done. So I kind of like, with this, I just plowed into it, and I thought, I'm not going to rest. I'm not happy. And people were saying, how's it looking? I'm getting there. And I might be really close to closing the deal. So I'm getting there. I'm giving nothing away, because I think last time I almost got there when a worldwide pandemic shut us down in March 2020. But nothing's done till there's anything signed. So luckily now, I can't say which prisons yet, but I'm into 2 prisons now, 2 private prisons, G4S prisons, as far as I can go. And I'm now supporting veterans in custody. I'm delivering the program in one, and I'm preparing to deliver the program in the other one. So it's just bedding in a little bit now. So yeah, it's all good, mate. I'm finally there after 6 years of writing the program and planning. And you know what? Today I had an email back from the CPD, which is the accreditation body that I'm using. They said, "Oh, your course is now accredited," because I submitted it for accreditation. And this is a massive thanks to SAFA and the Royal British Legion stumped up the money to help me out to get it paid for. And I submitted the course accreditation. It's all, look, we'll get back in touch with anything you need fixing. If it's not quite right, we can let you know. And it came back, no dramas. I thought either I'm spot on at writing programs, or their standards are really, really low. I don't know which one it is. I'm gonna go for low standards.
Don't put yourself down, mate. Don't put yourself down.
I know.
Obviously,
I know. But yeah, it was.
Now carry on.
No, sorry, mate. Go on, buddy.
No, that's the thing about Zoom. I was just about to start getting into your old background and that, but if you got other little bits you want to throw in at me, you crack on, son. That's the thing about doing Zoom.
Into it.
Do you know what I mean? It's like if we were in here together, I would get the cue not to butt in, which I love to do. Apparently, I love butting in.
Yeah.
So if I butt in, you're just gonna have to tell me to just hey, wait your turn, motherfucker. But
yeah. No, mate, you ask away, buddy, because we can get onto the other stuff at some point anyway, can't we?
Yeah.
So, no,
it will all flow into it, mate. It will all flow into it, I'm sure. So obviously, obviously, like myself, you're a proud member of the veteran community. Tank regiment, wasn't it?
It was indeed, mate. 2 of them, 3rd tanks in '88. And then the wall came down and we amalgamated, or we disbanded the third. Back out of the 4 that we have, 1 to 4, we disbanded 3 and 4, and then re-amalgamated 3 with 2, 4 with 1. So we kept like the northern half of England and the southern half of England, because one archer was predominantly people from the sort of like north of England, maybe the Midlands a little bit, mostly north of England, maybe Liverpool area. 4 archer was always the Scottish. 2 archer was always the fucking Cockneys and the London area, and then 3 archer was us, the Armoured Farmers. So yeah, we had 3 and 2 amalgamated and 1 and 4. So in '92 we amalgamated to the new 2 archer, which was good, but it was good and it was shit at the same time, because we'd all kind of bettered ourselves. You know, you get to your regiment and you know where you are, don't you? You know where you stand in that unit. You know all the lads, and it was like a massive pissing competition again when you first amalgamate. So everyone's trying to size each other up. Who's the hardest? Who's the best looking? Who can drink the most piss? And it was really one of those kind of like a lot of standoffs in the nappy bar, and it just kind of like, it was all right. It worked out well in the end. We sort of amalgamated with this harmony between 3 and 2, which went really well, which we didn't think it would, but it went really, really well. So all things said and done, it was a pretty decent transition into the new regiment, but things had changed, mate. It slowed down. Everything was just, you were saying it's not what it was. It's not what it was. It's not the army and I think a lot of people weren't prepared to adjust with the changes in the new, not so much new technology, but just the new way that people were coming from the recruiting stations, from the basic. They were coming through gobby as fuck, really gobby. Am I all right to swear?
Yeah, you swear as much as you want, son.
Fucking yes, get in there, mate. Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. so yeah, so the kind of like all these new boys coming in from basic, they'd been introduced to quilts, and the red card system hadn't come into play at that stage, but they were just gobby as fuck, mate. And it was, I don't know, it just seemed a bit, why should we have to go through a load of shit in basic training and you not have to go through the same shit that we went through? And it kind of created this bit of a, not a divide, but it kind of made it a little bit unsettling. I think these guys got the same level of resilience as we have. They did. Yeah. Of course they did, but we didn't feel like that at the time. So a lot of the decent blokes who were proper old school joined up in the 70s and 80s when I was there. They fucking knocked it on the head. They took the brown letter and took the redundancies, phase 1, phase 2 redundancies. Off they went. They were gone. So all the decent characters, all the ones which made that job worthwhile sort of staying in, they just left, mate. They left, and they left a very sort of...
I get that as well, because even because I joined up in 2008, so even then, like, we weren't going through the same sort of basic training as what the 90s and the 80s did. Don't get me wrong, it was still hard as fuck. We still got beastings, but we would get like coloured letters, like you got, if you fucked up once, you'd get a yellow or whatever, and then it was a buff.
Right.
And then you'd go and see the fucking flight commander, etc., etc. But that didn't like stop like us getting fucking beasted press ups for no reason, fucking running around the buildings just cause, you know. But and then we joined the squadron, and then it was similar to you. These new lads, the training system all changed, so they didn't do. So we would do what is basic training. So that was 20, I think it was 28, 29 weeks, because infantry. Yeah. So we did that, and then we would go on to our further training, which was we would call field gunners.
That's a fair bit.
Yeah. People fucking forget that with the part of the big 3, fucking RAF regiment. They're like, yeah, you guys don't do fuck all. It's like, hang on, our basic training is a long fucking time. We do the same as fucking everybody else. It's just we have that dickhead that said the 5 mile of death, and we get all the shit. But yeah, so you do that, and then you do your further training, and then what they did do was the 5 mile of death.
Yeah.
And then what they did do was they amalgamated it all together, so it was all one long thing. So then it was, you guys are doing the soft basics when they then came, and then so on. But totally get that, mate. I think that happens with every
So,
sort of generation.
Yeah, was it like, because when you joined up, because of the era, i.e. lots of going on with Afghanistan and Iraq, you're right in the thick of it at this stage, weren't you?
Yeah,
was basic training different and seen differently because of that? Because for me, it was just Cold War. We're going in for the Cold War.
Do you know what's
Basically,
funny?
you're going to get pissed.
Do you know what's funny, mate? We literally did Cold War tactics the whole way through.
Yeah.
Even down to when we were on field gunners, we would do the snake of death with 2 at the front doing the coup de grace, etc., etc. It was like, and then you'd get to squadron, you'd do your live firing, you'd do all the same sort of stuff, and then you'd go, right, we're going on to pre-deployment now, and then it all changes. It's like, why don't we just learn this in the first place?
Yeah.
More vehicle patrols, fucking IED checks, fucking etc. Pardon me.
Yeah, because in basic training, whatever you learn becomes instinctively natural to do, doesn't it? Because it's rammed into you that hard. So that seems nuts, doesn't it? Really, it seems nuts.
But it is quite funny. So my first tour was Iraq, and we basically we deployed, and in fact we did the same in Kandahar as well. We still deployed with a snatch and a WMIC.
Yeah.
Which is like, hang on, these were designed for Northern Ireland.
For urban areas.
Yeah, we're now in the desert in a partly armored Land Rover.
Please tell me it wasn't still fucking green.
No. They painted it. They painted it a desert yellow.
A lovely sandy yellow color. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Shit. Yeah. Well, I guess when I got out, I kind of didn't know what I was letting myself. I don't suppose any of us know what we're letting ourselves in for, do we? When you sign that dotted line, I'm going to get out. It's a very bold statement, isn't it?
Mate.
When you think I'm getting out, it's a definitive statement. You announce it to the lads. Usually after you get back off a block leave.
Yes.
You get back, you've had a really good leave. You're all right, Jonah? No, I'm getting out. I've had enough. This is shit. I'm not doing it anymore. And then you fucking march yourself up to our HQ and you go in there. Where's he going? Jonah, he's getting out, lads. He's getting out. He's had enough. And everyone's saying, and then there was a load of us doing it at the same time. And you sign off that paper. You have your interviews, and none of it gets you ready for what the reality, because you're just so looking forward to leaving it behind that you're not thinking about where you're going, are you? You're just thinking about getting out of the army and having a break from the discipline and the marching and the guard duties and the bullshit, which to be fair wasn't that bad. Now I look back at it.
Yeah, when you look back on it, yeah, you got paid to not really do much.
Definitely, mate. And I think the trouble is you could get paid to do very little for 2 or 3 weeks, then they give you one duty on camp, because when I was in, we had to stag on the gate, so we had to do camp duty. We didn't have the guard, whatever they're called now,
MPGS.
MPGF. Yeah, we didn't have them, so we had to stag on. So you finish a day of doing nothing, usually hiding in the turret of a tank with a cloth in one hand and an adjustable spanner on the other hand. If anyone comes in, you're tightening bolts and cleaning sights with a coffee on the go. So you finish your day's work, very loosely fitted description of work, and you go back, you start a duty. It's say, I think 7 o'clock or half 6, 7 o'clock, you got to get your best combats on, pressed up, and you're staggering on for you doing 2 hours on, 4 hours off right up to the night. And that one duty is what used to make the whole job seem shit. That one duty, maybe one a month. You stagger on and you think, this is shit, I hate it. It's not. It's just 12 hours. Yeah. But it made everything seem crap.
What's funny is the amount of squaddies that come out and then go into any line of security work, and it is literally 12-hour shifts.
Staggering on. Yeah, I know. And they're the ones which have whinged like fuck on stag. Oh, this is shit. I fucking hate this and shit. And they get out and go on stag. And they're probably also, they're probably the really boring fuckers that can't hold a conversation. You stood on the gate for someone for 2 hours. you want someone that can chat, someone that
Oh
can
yeah,
have a,
you need a bit of banter, a bit of back and forth. Need something.
not someone that just doesn't speak. It's fucking, oh mate, yeah.
Nothing worse, mate, than like even when I remember doing stag a few times, and you'd do it with the MPGS lot. And fuck me, they have a fucking power trip as well, because they're not real, are they? They're not real. They're
No.
not real. They obviously were at one point. They were serving at one point, transferred over to do God. Why would you ever want to do that? I don't know, but
that just tells
fuck me. Some of them, because they lose all their rank, so they lose their rank and they end up back as a private, or just army, isn't it? So yeah, back as a private, but they're still jumped up. You know, oh, will you fuck off and just let me through the gate?
Yeah,
I'm aware I've had too many drinks and I shouldn't be driving. Just let me through the fucking gate.
Just let me through. It will be fine. Just let me go. But your car has been smashed up, mate. Yeah, don't worry. I'll park it on the square and worry about it tomorrow morning. Blame it on someone else. Standard practice. Yeah.
Stolen. Mate, it wasn't me.
Well, do you know what? We had going back. It was in our camp in Hamer, so this would have been pre-92. We used to have a squadron do once every couple of months, which we all get in a nappy bar and get completely assholed. It'd be the singlies, it'd be the pads, the wives, everything, just a big old party. And we'd be sort of pretty sloshed by the end of the night. And it normally wrap up about 10, 11 o'clock or midnight. I can't remember, to be fair. I was usually drunk. And me and one of the lads, we used to decide we're going to go out and start robbing the local cars. We had this thing. It's bad now. The thing about we mate. Well, and we came back in right on the Hello again. How you doing?
Oh, that's me muted. As if that was me that died. What's that about?
I think, yeah, I think you froze. My signal's still good on this.
It's not. It wasn't yours. It was mine. So because I'm in the shed, my booster doesn't quite. Even my booster doesn't quite reach the bottom of my garden. So I've just put it on the mobile data. So I think we got to the point where you're nicking cars.
we were breaking in. We weren't even breaking into cars. The Germans are a really trusting bunch. Now, what they used to do is they would leave some cars they'd leave on lots. We wouldn't ever actually physically break in, so we just walk around and try door handles all the time. And every now and again, one that pops open, well, fuck, that's dead handy. So I jump in the thing, and what we found out was Germans, same as mostly in Europe, when they get fined by the police for, say, speeding, they give you an on-the-spot fine. And it might have been, let's say, 90 Deutschmarks for argument's sake. So what I found was, you go into a car and a little folder underneath the sun visor, and in that is a little wallet, and in there sometimes there's about, I don't know, 100 Deutschmarks, 200 Deutschmarks. I go in and fucking open it up. Yeah, that'll do me nicely, thank you very much. And that's some of that, my beer paid for. So this one night, me and my mate, I nearly said his name, we went out and we found I don't know how he got it, but he had a push bike. We found a push bike, loosely, sort of found a bike, push bike. Saw some speakers in the back shelf of cars, took the old back shelf because we couldn't be asked to fuck around taking them out. We found a toolbox in the boot of a car, and we had a car stereo, and we literally, he rode the bike in because he was a BMX. So I sat on the back with the back shelf in my backhand and a toolbox in one hand, and I think I was just balancing the stereo underneath my fucking arm. We literally rode back through the gates at about 3 in the morning. Get the gates up, lads, in we go, off to the block, and just sort of put it down and strip it down, sell it the next day. So yeah, that was just the mischief. I think it's, what did he call it? High spirits, I think the officers called it. It's high spirits. You're allowed to do certain things when under high spirits. So yeah.
Well, that's all right then. That's fine.
Yeah. Plain thieving, mate. That's all it is.
Just tea leaf.
Yeah, thieving bastards, mate.
To be fair, where I was based at RAF Honington, and we had I think it was one Royal Tank Regiment.
Yeah,
were based there for a number of years. Well, all the years that I was there.
Yeah.
And every fucking Burns night, they would trash the fucking camp. We were literally told, lads, don't even bother going out. You know what's going to happen. You're going to end up fighting. Just let them do what they need to do.
It's just like letting a dog go to town on your leg. Just let it get on with it, and just it'll finish. You'll get bored eventually. And
they broke into our hangar, and I'm pretty sure they got up to all sorts. I can't remember if they got into the squadron leader's office or not, but they definitely broke into a few of the like outside sort of portal cabins, and they just shat everywhere. They're like Amber Heard. They just fucking dumps.
Yeah, there's a thing about shitting. I don't know what it is now.
That's the height of all disrespect, taking a shit.
It is taking shit. Well, this you'll love this one. We used to have this DJ years ago, and he would come to our camp, and these squadron dudes that I mentioned, he would come and he would do the thing, and he'd wear the same kit every time. He'd have a white shirt, a white pair of chinos, a bum bag, and he had like a sort of mullet haircut, and his music was shit. Whenever he made a request, he wouldn't play what he wanted, he'd play what he wanted. So he came to us, and he played the disbandment do that we had for 3 hour charge. So the last gig we ever had, he was invited into this all ranks do massive gig, and he was crap as usual. So what happened is someone wasn't happy with this, so they knew that his van was outside, but he'd bring all his kit in there. So he went in the van, he took a shit in his van, just like, in the back of the van. So there's these massive complaints. Anyway, coming forward about another, let's say 2 or 3 years, we're in our new camp in Fallenbostel, newly amalgamated regiment. We have a squadron do. Guess who turns up?
Oh no!
same van outside. So I actually witnessed one of the lads. I'm gonna say his name, Barney. If everybody says Barney, I saw it happen. Me and mate Matt, and he went in the side of the van, pulled the side door open, and he's squatting down the back of this van. He just called out the most pathetic little fucking piece of turd I'd ever seen. But he tried so hard to do a proper shit.
He was like, I'm definitely taking a shit in here, kid.
Yeah, mate, he just dropped a tiny little nugget, and I thought, that it, mate, that's pathetic. In the end, we just left it.
Though, because if it's small, it can hide. You can hide that.
Yeah, he won't know where it is. He might have even stepped in it, but I don't think he ever came back to the regiment after that. I don't think he did.
Fair one. So, I remember when I left and I joined. I did cash in transit for a bit.
Yeah.
And one of the stops that we had to do was the Houses of Parliament.
Mm.
And I remember doing it, and I was like, I'm gonna go take a shit. I did it in the toilet like a regular human, obviously, but I thought, do you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm not flushing this. Took a photo of me missus. Not of me missus, me missus. Took a photo of what I'm doing. She was like, what are you doing? I went, taking a shit in the Houses of Parliament.
Mate, that's quality. That's quality.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
Well, we whilst we're on the subject of shit, so have you ever come across composite ration? Well, you would have come across composite rations. You ever seen a legendary compost shit? Now we have seen some beasts. We've seen some beasts, mate. We in Canada, in Bathurst, we just come off the prairie. So we've done 3 weeks on the prairie eating compo. And you get back into the camp in Suffield and you get to take a porcelain dump, which is nice. You've been basically doing a shovel recce for the last 3 weeks on a makeshift barrel for a toilet. And we were one last, fucking hell, lads, come and look at this. And we came in and we looked in the toilet and someone had dropped a log and it had gone down the U-bend. It had come up and it had hooked over the top of the seat.
Jesus
and
Christ.
It looks like he'd had to break it off. And we just unbreakable. We just thought that is just impressive. That man has clearly not been for quite some time to produce that. Always ate a lot of composite rations, but yeah,
like
compo.
A very light, almost orange brown color. That's mine used to come out like. It was like, what is that? Why is that happening?
Yeah. What's going on? Well, we used to sit on the prairie. We would go for a mutual shovel recce, about 3 or 4 of us. We'd have our shovels over our shoulders. We'd have because we're on the tanks, we'd have on the back these. It's like 20-liter drums which you have oil in, but they're empty. So we would basically cut the bottom out. So you have a cylinder. I mean, that would be our toilet. So we'd have perfect. We'd have our little shovel over our shoulder, toilet roll hung on the handle of the shovel, your 20-liter can, and then you have a scrim scarf. And we literally walk out about 20, 30 meters away from where the tanks are parked up, dig a little hole, put your cylinder over it. You all sit in a semicircle, and then you get your scrim net, your net, and put it over because of the mosquitoes. And you'd be sat there with just literally cammed up, just taking a dump with 3 or 4 of you whilst the mosquitoes are trying to attack you. And fond memories. But then we've kind of gone off piste a bit, haven't we?
We have a little bit. Wow, who cares? That was brilliant. Fucking. So what did you talk about today? I'm going to go in later. My missus will be like, "Oh, how was the chat?" And I was like, "Oh, it'd be brilliant. What did you talk about?" Shit.
We talked about loads of shit. We spent half an hour discussing various areas we can take a dump.
Different areas of the world we have taken a shit in. The worst being in Afghanistan, Portland.
Oh, I couldn't imagine it, mate. The heat.
It's too hot. So hot.
Yeah, I bet, mate. I mean, the hottest place I was operational, which doesn't really count, was Cyprus. And that was like basically 6 months on the piss. It was with the UN, and we were in the patrolling the buffer zone up and down between the northern and southern, or the Turkish and Greek Cypriots. And that was hot, but that was lovely. That was 6 months basically. 2/3 of that was on the piss.
It was literally
1/3 of that was
you got sent and deployed on a lad's holiday.
More or less, mate. Yeah, and do you know what made it even worse is because we were there for the 6 months, we weren't privy to this before going there. When we got there, we were told by our commanders, look, guys, whenever you're on your, it was a 9-day rotation. We would spend 3 days on guard duty, i.e. doing the staggering on the gates, 3 days on patrol, and we'd have 3 days off. Now, 3 days off, you could go take some time out down in Limassol or Ayia Napa. Because we were going to be there for the whole 6 months, what they did is the regiment, or the part of the UN, I think, they had these flats. We called it the troop flats. They had flats or basically holiday apartments booked free of charge. You just rock up at them and just go in and get in. They had something like, I think about sort of 3 or 4 different apartments dotted around these different resorts which you could go to. No charge. You turn up, take the keys from the squadron office or wherever it was, and fuck off down and have a few days off. And that was it was enough to destroy your career, because basically you're thinking, right, I'm going to have these 3 days I'm going to be on guard, I'm just sleeping and stagging on. 3 days on patrol, it's just 3 days cruising around with the roof down on a soft top Pajero. So you're just cruising up and down the island, basically. And then 3 days on the piss. So I pretended to the, I think I said this on another podcast. I used to have, obviously I used to have hair, and it was dark. And because I've been on the island for a good few months, I looked like a local. I looked like a.
I was going to say, I bet you look like a local.
I did, so much so that I told him that I was. It's a really bad lie, but I did kind of make up for it in the end. Is I was in a bar called Piccadilly's in Limassol, and I was just chilling out, and I think I was on my own because I loved going out. I really enjoyed it. So I was chatting to the barman and gas face. So what's your background then? So I'm here with the army. He said, yeah, I know that. I said, but you where are you from? I said, well, and I don't know why, but squaddies really love lying, don't they? And I said, well,
you do love a lie. Yeah,
we do. I said, I'm originally from here. She said, oh really? I said, yeah. I said, well, my dad was, and this is just straight from the hip. So my dad used to be based in one of the sovereign bases back in the 70s, which was plausible. She said, oh right, yeah. And he said he met a local woman who lived in Famagusta. Now Famagusta was the biggest city in Cyprus, which was contained within the buffer zone. the whole city is just abandoned. It's like, it's got car showrooms with brand new cars in it from the 70s, haven't been touched. So I said, yeah, my mum was just Farm Augusta, and said when the war kicked off, said she wasn't prepared to leave, but I'd just been born. Said my dad took me back to England, and I never seen mum again after that. Horrendous lie. But next thing I know, I've got all the local lads saying, oh yeah, please, you're one of us. Come and stay with us and eat with my family. They gave me a little job working in the bar, moonlighting, so I was getting free drinks all night. And I started to feel really bad because they're really nice. And I thought, this is awful. I felt really bad. So there was a really nice family. It was called, the lad was called Paris. His full name was Pariskova, I think. Really nice guys. I used to literally sleep at his house with his mum and dad and his brother. And we were chatting one day in their bestest English, and I said, have you always lived in Limassol? They said, no, we used to live on the north before it was invaded. I said, oh, that's such a terrible shame. And I suddenly had this thing. I thought, I could make up for my bullshit here. I could maybe do something good for them. So I said, look, do you know the name of the town? Clearly they do. And they said, yeah, this is the name of it here. So right, okay, look, what I'm gonna do. So when I'm on patrol, because I get to patrol the buffers, I can do north and south, no dramas. I said, if your village is not too far north, I will go and find it. I said, tell me where your house was. Tell me where it was. Tell me the streets, roughly where it was, and I'll go and find it. So anyway, I go back a few days later on, I get to the patrol thing. I've got my first strike, so some idiot put me in charge. So I was in charge of this patrol with me, this other lad. I said, right, mate, we're on a mission today, because where are we going? So we got to go to the north, we got to find the village. He goes, oh yeah, fine, no worries, mate. So it's all on maps, it's pre-GPS. So we've got this map, and it's in Greek Cypriot, and I'm looking at it for, yeah, if we get over there. So we popped onto the Turkish half. But of course, over there, everything's written in Turkish. So I've got a Greek map, and I'm not seeing the signs. So I've then got to go and buy a Turkish map. So I've got that, and I'm now looking at it. So right, yep, right, cool. So I found the village, followed their directions, and they drew a little map out in pencil or pen. And I found what I thought was their house. Took a load of photographs on me, 35mm. Took photographs local school. It's all abandoned, mate. There was no one living there. The whole village was abandoned, because the north of Cyprus back then was like a big military camp, if anything else. Yeah. So I found all these little locations around there, and that was it. I went back, and 3 or 4 days later on, I come off of me patrols, off of me guard duty. I go back down to Limassol, and I saw the family start. I give them this roll of 35mm film, so that there you go. Hopefully, I've got it for you. And I didn't think anything of it. So I'm on the piss, and I go back to Nicosia again, do my thing, come back 6 days, 7 days later on. I went there, and her mum ran up to me, giving me a massive hug. She was crying. She said, you found our house. You found our church. I found the fucking lot, mate. I said, fucking result. So I was kind of like, I didn't mind lying so much then, because those lies have managed to get them photographs of their house.
Your Cypriot mother must be proud of you, mate.
Oh, yeah. I know. They literally left. They packed their bags and left, and it was literally in the same state that they'd left it 30 years,
that's
20 years previously, thereabouts. So yes, then I got another family. So, can you go over there again and get a photograph? So, yeah, all right, no worries. So I did a couple of north-south incursions, if you like, to get some photographs of these families. But I kind of felt like I should, because they were looking after me.
Yeah, sort of need to make up for this.
Yeah, a little bit.
See, most people just make up jobs. Like, I'm a dolphin trainer, or I put the lid on toothpaste and things like that. But no, you create a whole family.
I created a whole family, and I lied my ass off. And I don't even know why I did it. I didn't stand to the game much. I think it just naturally happened. It just came out. So, yeah, that was Cyprus for you.
That's fucking brilliant, though. To be fair, as lies go, that is top quality.
It was a good one, mate. I don't know where I'd class that as a little white lie or a horrible one. I think it was one of these little fibs that kind of everyone wins in the end.
Yeah,
no one's
that's a win-win in it. You got to hang out with some cool Cypriot people, and
I got to eat.
Got to travel north for a bit and have a good mooch about some fucking abandoned houses.
Well, nearly fucking and you got right in the shit in Cyprus. We had this patrol. So you got 3 sectors which break up the buffers, and you got sector 1, 2, and 3. Sector 2 was us, the British. Sector 3 was Argentina. It was the Austrians at the time. Sector 1 was Argentinians. None of that was a problem. So you got the Troodos Mountains in Cyprus. Again, I'm in charge of this patrol. It always happens on my patrols. So we've gone up to Sector 1 in our little Pajero, and we've kind of like done our bit. We had to basically check into a few Argentinian camps. And then we had to get back, and a lad said, look, should we go for a little drive through the mountains? Yeah, let's go for the mountains. That'd be nice, because we've not really seen them properly. It was daylight. It was all right. It was a nice day. So, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it then. So off we go, and we're taking these tracks. A lot of Cyprus really is like dirt tracks. You've got your main roads, but there are a lot of dirt tracks. We're heading up to these mountains. We were just going to try and navigate our way through them a little bit. And we got fucking lost, mate, in the mountains. Because none of them, we were totally geographically embarrassed. We couldn't find ourselves on the map. We had nowhere pinpointing.
That sounds like my type of navving.
I've just cut him off like a horrible dad.
Stop it! Stop it!
Go away, son. Go away.
He's busy.
Yeah, for fuck's sake, mate. You can watch this back now. He's now famous. So watch this. So it's getting dark, and we were trying to think, well, how the fuck are we going to do? The worst thing is we were running out of fuel. We were on, like, let's say, just over a quarter of a tank. We still had to get a good 20, 30 k's back to our camp. But this is bad. So we're thinking, right, we need to get up high so that we can find out where we're going to be. So we at least want to see some lights of a village or something, and see if we can orientate ourselves. So we're spending out, and we're literally going around tracks on the sides of mountains which have had landslides down it. That's the sort of thing we're talking about. So we found this little track, and it's getting pitch black. So all we got is like lights on the vehicle. We don't know what the drops on each side, and we're going up this fucking hill, and then we get a puncture. So we got to deal with that. So we got to we sort of crawl up under practice, mate. So we got to the sort of as hard as we dare go on this hill. And we could look around. We could see some lights down there. And we thought, looking at the map, oh, that could be it. Roughly, loosely, could be it. So probably, I reckon, a good 2 hours later of like slowly navigating through these mountains, and you're literally going around a mountain, hoping you're going to get daylight or the sign of civilization. Nope, another mountain. And you kept going round these trails, snaking around outside these mountains, like fucking Highway of Death in, where is it, South America somewhere? It wasn't as bad as that, but it felt like that. And eventually we came round, and we just suddenly saw tarmac in front of us. Like, oh, and we literally got out of the vehicle and literally got down on all fours and just fucking kissed the deck, mate. And we got back. But the problem we had, we were out of comms. We weren't in reach of anyone's comms, because we're supposed to check in at certain areas.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We're supposed to our patrol was meant to finish at, let's say, 5. It's now like 11 o'clock at night. So we're thinking, fuck, right. I said, do you know what? We got back. They didn't even fucking miss us, mate. They didn't even know we were gone.
Fucking bad drills, mate. Bad drills, that.
I know, mate. But I didn't get much chance to be in charge of myself after that, mate.
Who's on charge of this patrol then? Jonah? Nah, it's not happening, mate.
No, don't let him go, because either he goes north or he goes up in the mountains. Either way, he doesn't get the job done.
Yeah.
Just stick him on the gate. He'll be all right on there.
You can't get lost on there. Right. This is literally less than 1 minute, so I'm going to stop for the ads, and I'll send you the next link.
Yeah, nice one, mate. I'll see you in a sec.
In a second.
Righto, mate. I'll leave on this one. I'll see you in a sec. But I'll keep mine recording this end, okay?
Oh, mate.
And he's back.
All right, bud.
He's back. Yes.
Let me just check my little bits recording. Yeah, that's.
It's so shit though, isn't it? Fucking 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Bollocks.
I know.
Bollock Zoom.
Isn't it? I know. I wish I could have gone down to the shed.
Yeah, I really don't understand why they've changed it. Like, so many episodes I've done, and it's literally, I've done like 3-hour episodes before, and we haven't. And you could just do it. Strange. But it is what it is.
Zoom wankers. There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Zoom wankers. So
yeah,
when in Cyprus, was that when other bits started to take hold?
Yeah, do you know what? It was. Do you know what the bit that I got to be very careful I word this. When I went to before I went to Cyprus, a lot of my friends were dabbling a little bit of pot, and I really wasn't interested. I'm not a smoker, so I wasn't really that bothered about it. It didn't really appeal to me, although I quite like the idea of doing something which I wasn't supposed to do, i.e. the naughty factor of it. The actual whole part of smoking, I just wasn't that interested in. And I just left that. That was dormant. And then I kind of, when I came back from Cyprus, it was June 1994, and I got back on. You get your termination or your block leave, don't you, when you finish on the end of ops leave, whatever it's called. So I went back to Bristol and saw my mates, and they said, "Oh, we're all doing whiz now." So what the fuck's that? It's like, it's this speed. I went, I've heard of it. I said, do you want to do a bit? I thought, fuck it, why not? Yeah, in for a penny and all that. So this flag gave me a little Rizzler. It was. He said, just put it in your mouth. Don't fucking taste it. It's horrible. I just bomb it. Just drink it down. So like, fucking yakking like fuck because it was disgusting, and I got it down. I didn't think nothing of it, and then we got into town, and I was just having the best night. I was chatting like fuck, and I couldn't stop myself fucking gassing, mate. And I just thought, this is great. And I was chatting to these two girls. I remember the conversation. I won't say her name, but I was just literally knelt down on the floor on this table, leaning at that, and I was just chatting. And I just thought that and I didn't realise it was the effects of the speed or the amphetamine or the whiz. I didn't realise that's what it did. I just had this overwhelming sensation or feeling of euphoria and confidence, which I'd never felt before. And then I kind of like got really hooked on the idea because I'm squaddies. We love a drink, and although I can more than drink. I could literally put away an obscene amount of alcohol and still be relatively with it. I didn't like getting pissed up, mate. It just wasn't really my cup of tea. Although I enjoyed getting drunk, it just didn't really appeal to me because it was all. I was never one of the sort of lads. I was more interested in going out and having a good time, and just to be fair, I just want to get laid most of the time. That was my primary focus, and I wasn't the sort of person that if it wasn't going to happen, I wouldn't go and kick off. I'd just go home and fair enough, another night. I've lived another night. So going out and getting involved in these I won't say recreational, drugs used on a recreational level. For me, it kind of introduced me to something which I really enjoyed. I thought, this is a kind of night that I really like. People are dancing, they're enjoying, they're chatting. That's way before ecstasy. So I kind of I was messing with it a little bit when I was going on leave. And I knew I was treading on thin ice because I thought, although saying that after that particular leave, that one leave I went on and I'd done this speed on this one night, and I met this girl that I think on the last weekend before I came back, and I didn't feel head over heels, but I really liked her, and it may as well have been head over heels in love, because when you're going back to Germany, you pine for them, and it's before mobile phones were about, but they were very rare, and it wasn't something I really knew or understood. I thought they were for special people, like people with loads and loads of money, and that wasn't me. So comms was really difficult. It was like literally queuing up to the phone box in your camp with 5 Deutschmarks, just shoving it in and having a 10-minute combo. So it was really difficult. And I thought, I've tried this relationship thing before so many times. It's just not working out. It's just not going anywhere. So I got back and I thought, you know what? I'm going to bin it. And it was for probably one, because I wanted to give it a go with this girl. It wasn't the main reason, but that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. The other was I was messing with fucking drugs. If I get tested, CDC had been out for about a year, so if I get pulled, I'll lose everything. I'm fucking done for. So I didn't really want to get pulled. And the other one was, like I said, about the army changing. It just wasn't what it was. So these 3 key factors really played into my decision to get out. And really, it was meeting her. It was the reason I think had I not met her, I may well have not signed up, or I just kept pushing it. So maybe meeting her was a good thing. So I may well have got tested and caught and kicked out. So I got out, mate. That was it. That was the thing. And I think it's because I just wanted to change. And also as well, we'd done Northern Ireland in 1990. We'd done the UN in 93, 94. We've missed the first golf because we were in Northern Ireland at the time. And I thought to myself, well, ain't fuck what else can happen now, is it? We're done. That's it. What's the chance of having me get into my tank and have some sort of operational duty again in my lifetime? I thought if I stay in and do my 22, it's never gonna happen. Little did I know what was gonna happen. You know, fucking hell, hindsight in that, I would have probably stayed in. So I made a break. I made a clean break for it. And you know, you're so excited about getting out, aren't you? You're in like, I was in like a dream state when I come out, and I thought, I can't wait to get out. I can't wait to not do all that shit, all the stagging on, albeit just once a month. It just done me head in, and I think the people were doing me head in a little bit, and the job was just grinding on. Promotion is slowed down because of these amalgamations and everything else. I wasn't going to get my second strike for another few years, and I thought I was due my second tape, and everything was blocked. So I was too busy looking forward, or too busy worried about what was happy to leave behind everything to think about where I was going. And then that was it, mate. I came out and I landed in Civvy Street in the height of the ecstasy boom in the mid-90s, when all the clubs had gone mainstream. All these raves that have been going off in fields and warehouses, and all these organisers are starting to get shut down by the police. So they were starting to go mainstream. They're taking these events to big clubs all around the UK. I got taken back by it, mate. I was going clubbing anyway. I loved clubbing, and I took my first pill round about, I think it's around about June. Yeah, probably around about June 1995, and that was great in the club. But what really got me was the lads took me to we call it a rave, wasn't it a rave? It was a dance. It was Pete Tong's Essential Selection, and he's doing one on a Friday night, and it was in the Milton Keynes Sanctuary. And the lads are saying, Rich, you're gonna love it, because I'd never been to a proper event before. All I've been to is just clubs. And I got in this event, mate, and I felt like I landed somewhere which I really belonged. Because at this stage I've been taking pills for a few months. I think this event was the back end of '95, because I knew I had a certain car. I bought this car. I was doing surveillance. I had a black RS Turbo van, Ops van, a sleeper with a chipped engine. It's a 200 brake Escort Mark III Escort van. It was a fucking monster, mate. So that was what I had anyway.
When I did surveillance, they gave me a fucking Peugeot partner who was shit.
Yeah, not much good for anything.
No.
Yeah,
apart from looking like a pervert in the back of it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, we'll talk about the surveillance in a bit, but I've had a few of those. So I got into this club, and do you know what? The music hit me, the volume hit me, and if you're doing if you're doing a pill in a club where it's a mainstream club, where it's just a combination of different music, different people drinking and that, it's good. But you go to an actual organised event where the sole purpose is dance music and everyone in that room is on the same level, I felt like I belonged again, mate. I felt like I belonged, because I'd left the army behind, and I had such a big gap in my life, such a big void.
I was going to say, did you feel the gap? Because I as much as I was looking forward when I was leaving, I was like, right, I've got a new life that is happening. I also missed it for years. Like, it took me up until recently, where now I'm sort of, I've let go now. That's fine. Did you have that sort of gap where you left and was like, should I have done that? Or
I did, but I didn't realise it at the time, mate. I didn't realise that I wasn't aware of the void that was in my life, because I was filling up with stupid things like taking drugs or selling drugs, and I was just beginning to start doing some small time dealing around about this time. And literally, I was just buying a couple for my mates, and the first pill I ever sold to someone that wasn't my mates, and it was at this Milton Keynes sanctuary. And I got into this, and I was off my fucking tits. But it was pink calories, and they're really, really strong. And I just felt like this was my new world, and I really liked it because I just did. And someone came up to me and they said, "Oh, mate, you're right." I said, "Yeah, yeah." And they said, "You're clearly off your tits. Have you got? Do you know where I can get a good pill from?" I said, "Mate, I've got loads there." I was like, "What?" All that was 3. I said, "Mate," he said, "What is a tenner?" And I told him this pill for a tenner. I made a couple of good, but that was irrelevant. And the lads were saying, "Richard, for fuck's sake, you're waving a bag of pills in there. You're going to get yourself kicked out." And I just didn't care, mate. I was so, and I've said this to other people before about hypervigilance is a massive problem for me, and it was, and it's not so bad now. But taking that pill switched it off immediately, totally gone.
Yeah.
Or it gave me the ability to control it and it not dictate my emotions and my actions. Because I could just lose myself and I could literally stand in the middle of a busy dance floor, shut my eyes and dance for about 5 hours and not give a fuck about anything at all. And I will go home feeling slightly worse for wear, but better for it in a sense. I've had some downtime. I've had time to switch off from the dangers that don't exist.
Yeah, well, I've never really dabbled in any sort of pills or anything. I've smoked a bit of weed before, but that's about it. So is there much of a fucking come down off pills? Like you see some drugs that they have a proper, they have the buzz and then they have like the crash. Is that the same with ecstasy and all the others?
Yeah, it is, but it's not what it's hard to describe because I compared it to come down from amphetamine, and that come down from that is fucking awful because bear in mind your body's firing all 4 cylinders. You're charged to fuck, so you're not getting any sleep. You're restless as fuck. You've probably drank a load of beer, but you're not getting drunk. So your body is so many toxins in it that the next day you're numb. You're literally fucking numb, and you've got no appetite. If you've done speed, you've got no appetite at all. So that's a horrible come down. Base was a horrible come down. Ecstasy was kind of like you just feel tired and drained, but you feel tired and drained for several days. It takes, even then when I was young,
like a hangover in your 30s.
Hangover, like definitely like a hangover in your 50s. It doesn't go, and it's the tiredness. You got this feeling of like, it's like a sensation of emptiness. And I think it's because your brain has been so charged with positive emotions and your endorphins, all the happy stuff's happening that you feel fucking miserable.
Because that's what they say, isn't it? It's like selling love, isn't it? Ecstasy. You want to try some love?
Yeah, and it was, mate. Honestly, do you know what I've never had so many sweaty hugs as I did when I was doing that stuff. Big old fucking mate. When I was selling them in the clubs, and you dish out your pills, and these guys will shoot off, and the girls will shoot off, and it's always, well, it is nice when the girls come and give you a hug because at that age of 25, it's just nice to be in that. And I'll go into that in a bit. But when you got the lads coming back and they're thinking, "Oh mate, cheers, mucker, that's fucking," and you know they're going to come back and give you a hug because you know that how I'm feeling at that time, they're going to feel the same way in about 40 minutes time. And then that thing about being a part of something as well is, and I've said this sort of on another podcast a while ago, is I don't know if you felt this. Whenever I used to go on leave, although I really was quite welcomed by my friends, I never really felt like I belonged anymore. So
because they're different.
They are, and you're not current with anything. You're not current with their conversation.
No, you're not. You when you're in the military, you're in your own bubble, aren't you? Yes, like when I was serving, you had the internet and things, so you sort of kept up with current affairs and whatnot. But it's as though if you go back to basic training, because we get broken down and built back up again, we're all built back up in the same way. We've all got a dark sense of humor. We're all very sarcastic. We're all pretty much the same. Like we love a moan, but as soon as someone's ready to go, we're switched on and we'll get it done. We'll moan like fuck all the time. but then we'll still do it to the best of our ability, unless you're a shit cunt. But then you go back with your civvy mates, and you're like, brilliant.
Yeah,
you don't get my sense of humor anymore.
No, and they don't get you, do they? They just look at you and think, fuck me, this guy's a liability. And that's what I found was on lease. I never really felt like I belonged, although I was never unwelcome. I just sort of like detached myself from it a little bit, and I just kind of did my own thing. But then when I came back and I started getting involved in selling ecstasy, I created this world around me. And it wasn't I didn't want to be the center of attention. It wasn't about that. It was about just, I suppose, subconsciously filling that void again. And I created this world because I was medicating myself with these pills, if you like, to switch off the hypervigilance. I then created this world around because for once, I knew what was going on. I was current. I knew what that person, I knew that these people were seeing those people. I knew these guys were being at a certain time. I knew what job they had because I'd go around and see them on the Monday and collect the money off them. So I kind of knew people again. And I felt like, albeit in a very false sense of security, they felt like that you belonged with them again, but only whilst drop your tip.
I sort of get what you mean.
Yeah, and then most of these people who are sort of like, you got that one thing in common is that pill, the music and everything else. But what you'll find is when you eventually sort of come back down to earth again, you've got very little in common with them, and you might find you actually don't actually like them. You think, I mean, you're a bit of a bellend, mate.
Yeah, you're a fucking cunt. Where's my money? I'll love you.
Yeah,
I'll love you again on the weekend. Where's my fucking money?
Yeah, there's no love. You pay your bills, son. so yeah, it was the ecstasy days where they were never turbulent because the stakes were never. Although the stakes were high with it being a Class A drug, the stakes were low with the sense it wasn't really infiltrated with any gangsters and villains. They were, but they were more interested in the cocaine, and the ecstasy market was more of like, until I started getting involved in doing the multiple tens of thousands, 10s, 20s, 30s, 50,000s at a time, that's when it got a bit more serious because you're talking bigger bucks. But even then, the pricing on the pills at that stage, which was round about 98, 99, no, it wasn't. It was like early 2000s, sorry, just before I stopped doing it. I was buying bulk because there was no money left in them. It was fucking shit. And you're talking pence. So you might buy 1,000 pills might cost 400 quid. So you get like, 10,000 is $4,000. 50 grand is going to be like what, 20k or whatever. So then you're talking bigger money. We're talking huge bulk. We're talking such small profit margins. Tiny, because you're buying them for like, say, 40p a pill or 20p a pill. You're selling them for 60p, so you're making 20p on a pill. You think, that's shit. So on 1,000, you're making like 200 quid. And that's not enough. It's just not enough, mate, because you got to pay your runner some money. You got to pay your storage. So I got out of them. I just moved out. I thought, this is just no good. So I thought, let's try cocaine.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if we stick on ecstasy and that for just a sec.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have like a, because obviously the rules back then in the 90s are different to the rules now with bouncers. Obviously bouncers got to be licensed and whatnot, where back then it was a bit like the Wild West. Did you have like a rapport with the guys on the door where you're like, oh, we know this guy, he's all right?
Yeah, well, the club I was in, I was selling a club called Odyssey, and I've been going to there since it was fucking Papillons before that. So I've been going to this club since round about 1987 when I was 17. So before I joined the army.
So it's a good year. And
it was. Is that when you were born, mate?
It was, mate.
I was just starting to engage in my first nightclubbing.
Hey.
not old at all. So the SA badge came out, I think around about 90. I think about 97. So I was already getting involved. So what we had was going into this particular club in Odyssey was we had things. We used the phrase "sewn up," if you like, because that's the one that most people will understand. And we had this little corner area called Pillhead's Corner, where I say we, because a friend of mine left the forces at the same just after me, and we kind of like teamed up, and we had it really good. So between us, we sort of like got 2 bar staff on board, 2 4 doormen on board. We had the DJ, the lighting jock, and an assistant manager on board. So we had pretty much 50% of, or no, not a good core amount of staff.
Yeah.
Were supporting us in the sense because they knew when we were selling those pills, there was no fucking trouble in the club. Not saying at all.
Yeah. Because obviously, if you're on love, you're just going to be hugging people. You ain't going to want to be kicking anyone's head in.
Yeah. No, that's it. You just don't care, mate. And we had that good for a good 2.5 to 3 years. We were doing that. There were doormen there which out of their sense of duty they needed to get me, and I understand it, but they weren't aware that we were paying everyone off in that club with pills. So the doorman, we had pills, bar staff pills, everyone pills. Give the manager pills, he'd bring the pills in for us in the daytime, so we have to smuggle them through the door. Everything was done beforehand. It was all sorted. It was all arranged. So we weren't even selling that many in there. It's more of our own person. Most of my pills at that stage were being sold outside of the club. He would just bring in the pills we wanted. So it might be like maybe 30 or 40 maybe. And so the DJ was off his tits playing good music. The lighting jock was doing the same thing. The bar staff give us free drinks because they're off their tits. The doorman had our back. If we knew that we were going to get spun by the other doorman, they'd come and say, heads up, they're coming over. So we get a heads up, so we get everything tucked away. So it was really good. And I'm not going to condone it, but it was fucking good, mate.
It was really good. Highly illegal, but really good.
Yeah, really good. And you know, they even put clubs are dark, aren't they? They even fitted a new spotlight above our corner, which was on just a little fucking screw-in light in the roof. As soon as you get in there, I'd be up on the store to fucking have that come straight out of the wall, mate, out the roof, chuck it in the bin so it's still dark. So they even every time they put the lights on us, we would get rid of the lights. So we did everything we could. In the end, they pulled me on. It was on my birthday in, when was it? 1998. They pulled me in on my birthday. I was fucking assholed, and I just taken a couple. I just literally ate my last 2 pills, or my last one. I was gurning my tits off, and the security come and grabbed me. They pulled me up to the office, and I stood there, and I'm smug as fuck because I got nothing on me.
Yeah.
And I got some money on me, but it's not a major amount because it's my birthday, and they're like searching. Said, look, we know what you're doing. He said, we have to sort of like search you now. He said, because if we don't make an effort to try and shut down the drugs in the club, we lose our license. So we're just doing our best. I said, that's fine. I've got nothing to hide. Just fill your boots. Luckily, I didn't have nothing on me. And they said, now there's the main doorman there, and he kind of, he didn't like the fact that he knew what was going on, but he'd also coined the phrase once, it's better the devil you know. And he went with that ethos for quite a while. And then he looked at me, he said, we know what you're doing. Don't let us catch you. I said, all right, no worries, guys, no worries. And I walked out of the office, and that was it. After that, I stopped selling pills in that club. I think that was my warning shot. I think that was my warning shot. So I stopped selling this club. And by then, in '98, I met my wife at that stage, and she fell pregnant with our oldest in the following year, and he was born the following year. So my life took a totally different direction. In 1999, everything changed, mate. Everything totally changed. So that was the end of that era of the ecstasy, if you like.
And then you went, do you know what I fancy? I fancy a bit of coke.
I fancy doing cocaine instead. So I kind of like fannied around for a little while. What I did I went and got a job, because bear in mind, for those, like, I was doing surveillance now for about 1.5 years, 2 years. But it was getting quite random because I was becoming unreliable because I was too busy coming down for the weekend. So I was really unreliable. So I'd signed on and I'd signed on with, because my head was a bit shot anyway. I think I was suffering depression, but a lot of that was probably induced by come down from drugs. So I can't really say it was, or for sure. So I went and got a job. As soon as I found out my wife was going to give birth, or at some point, I thought, shit, I better sort my fucking life out. So I got a job within about 3 weeks. And I got a job working for a textiles company in a delivery van, delivering tea towels and fucking overalls for workplaces and sheets and linen to hotels. And I loved it. It was so fucking stress-free. But I was also selling drugs as well. So I was then using the delivery van for dropping all my stuff off and picking it all up. Because I had the perfect cover. It was great. So I then kind of started accelerating my plans and working in an environment with people. Everyone was smoking pot. a couple of people smoking pot, driving his vans around, including me. So if someone's smoking pot, that's a link. Oh, where'd you get your stuff from, mate? Oh, so I can get it for you if you want. So you kind of conversing with people at work, and then I've tapped into a guy that was there, had a friend who did some work south of Bristol, south of Bath, should I say? Fuck it, true, but just say it anyway. So down that way, and I tapped into some guys on it, and I started supplying a couple of figures down there, and it just sort of really started picking up. So in the end, giving up ecstasy and getting a job just accelerated things, because I was meeting people when I was more compos mentis. I wasn't operatives, I wasn't coming down all the time, and I spent I'd say a good 2 years just sort of fanny assing around, not really of any direction, still selling pills in bulk, still sort of selling a bit of cannabis and a little bit of amphetamine and just dabbling around. And I didn't really get heavily involved in cocaine until around 2000. I think it's 2001, end of 2001, 2002 is when I really started doing it properly, by me and another guy getting it in pure, mixing it up, repressing it and banging it out the door. So that's when I got involved in it properly, 2002. And it was turbulent, to say the least, mate. It was horrible. It was just a messy business.
Yeah, because obviously the most insight I've got on that is fucking movies, where it's coming in, like you said, getting it and then getting it to the dealers and whatnot. Even watching that, as cool as those movies are, you actually lived it. But fucking hell, I was like, I'm stressed out watching this. They're gonna get shot or something in a minute.
It is, mate.
You literally lived a movie.
It is. It's weird thing is, when you live in it, you don't realise how stupid it is at the time. You just think it becomes your new normality. Yeah. And when you're meeting up with these gangsters and villains, and you've got different categories of people involved in drugs. You've got your businessmen, which are great. You've got your gangsters, which are a complete fucking nightmare. And you just find that you're navigating your way through these people to see who's the best person to work with, who's going to want to kill me the least if I'm late with my money. And that's what you got to weigh up. The options of like, where am I going to get the easiest ride as well as the best kit? And sometimes the easiest ride and the best kit always came from the businessman. The gangster's mentality lived a very short shelf life because of the problems that's inherited with that mentality. Yeah. With the business mind, always came the better kit, and they actually understood that people have problems. So if you, let's say you owe 10 grand for accuracy and you owe 10 grand to a gangster, I've had people, they drop me something off on a Wednesday, let's say midday, by 4 o'clock they're saying, you got any money yet, mate? Mate, I've only had it 4 hours. I've still got it with me. It's not gone anywhere yet. Mate, do your best. I got to get some debts paid, because that's who they are. They're reckless, because they calculate what they think they're going to earn. They spunk it, and then they get on your case for their money, which they've already spent. So you're getting headaches before you even start. I thought, that's my number plate light, mate. So you're getting a load of grief, and it in the end, I found businessmen were much better, because they will understand that if you say, right, you're going to have 7 days for this, I'll give it to you on a Thursday, I want paying on the Wednesday. That's your 7th day. No fucking about. If you're going to have a problem, let me know. Don't get to the case where you've had the kit, you've been sat on it for 5 days, and your mate's been nicked, so you can't sell it. Don't tell me on Wednesday that you still got it, because that's bad comms. Tell me you straight away they still got it. I could probably get it back to you, and then I could sell it and still pay the bill. That's how businessmen work. You communicate. Although communication is bad, because you're creating cell site for if you get arrested, you still got to communicate. You got to sometimes balance out what's going to be the least, damage limitation, I guess the best word is. What route am I going to take is going to least likely get me caught, least likely get me in the shit with someone else. What's going to get the kick on? What's going to be the biggest profit margins? Who you could sometimes have someone that gets rid of a load of stuff, but they're highly unreliable, because they're always out all the time doing the rounds, selling loads of stuff, but they're off their tits. So trying to get hold of them on a Monday and Tuesday is almost impossible, because they can't even get out of their bed. They then get up on a Wednesday, think, oh, fuck, I've got to round up 20 grand now, fucking hell, and they're running around like a blue ass fly trying to get things ready. So then they turn up with you the money's light. It's been slung in a caravan. They've not checked it, but they're selling loads of kit. So you charge them more, you charge them higher. But then it's a fine line. It is business like, but at the same time, it's business with people which are really unreliable and really, really sort of unpredictable.
Yeah, I bet like you said, the bad guys, the villains, the gangsters, the roadmen, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Fucking, I'm not down with the lingo. They must be. I find them fascinating. Like, I find you fascinating because you lived it. You were in the criminal underworld doing it. It's just fascinating to me. It's like, one, how does that even happen? How do you even get involved in that sort of thing? I grew up in Hereford, which I do believe was the heroin capital of the world at one stage. Not that I ever got anywhere near that stuff, but I grew up as a my dad served in the military for 22 years, attached to the SAS as a jump instructor, and then his next job, he was a prison officer. So I was brought up fucking straight and narrow. Otherwise, you're in the shit. As much as I was a naughty boy in terms of I'd go out and have a fight, that was my release. I like the adrenaline rush of kicking someone's head in. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna make any bones about it. I was either fighting or fucking. But like,
or both at the same.
Yeah, just hitting her. No, I don't condone that. That was a joke.
No.
Fucking PC police.
Smacking her body.
Yeah.
Smacking her bottom.
Softly. I was softly giving her a donkey punch. But that side of it, like for example, one of our family closest friends was part of the drug squad in Hereford. So I was like, does that stuff really, really happen? And he's like, yeah. But you lived it. You lived with these absolute nutters. Not lived. You probably didn't live with them.
And I've come across
in bed with them, should I say? You dirty slut.
But you know what? It's all man love. They call it. It's like they call it the underworld, don't they? And I've always tried to think, why is it called the underworld? It's like an alternate reality. And I saw something on social media going back a while ago, and it's about something different. Someone suffered mental health about living this alternate reality because no one knows what's going on inside that person's head. And you could be walking down the street and you've got these things going on around you which you have no idea they're going on. You can have some guy walk past you and he can have half a kilo of coke and 500 pills in his bag, and he's on his way to a deal. So his mindset is totally different to what your mindset is. You're walking down the same road, you just maybe just grab a coffee and you're thinking about what to have your dinner, what you're going to have for your dinner. He's thinking, am I going to get shot, killed, stabbed? Where's the police? What's going on? Am I going to get the money back to this guy in time? Fuck me, there goes my phone again. He's in a different world, and he's not allowing himself to take on the reality of his surroundings. And I don't mean that in a survival perspective. I mean to enjoy it. He doesn't know when you're involved in that underworld. You may as well be in the shadows, in the tunnels underneath, because you're not noticing anything around you. You're not looking at the things which are nice. You're looking at the things which are going to cause you a problem, or you should be. You know, that hypervigilance is activated all the time. So, if I'm going to go and do a deal, and it doesn't matter where I would have chosen the area, because it didn't matter long as it lent itself to be good for a meeting place. Not overlooked, somewhere we can both get good sort of direction of flow in and out, somewhere good observation local area, anything which would lend itself to that, or in hiding in plain sight in a crowd of people in a really busy area. You're not looking at anything else apart from you're focused on the person you're going to meet, the exits, and that's it. And I suppose it's like doing a patrol in the forces where you're walking down the street. You're not actually looking at the street. You're not looking at the sights. You're looking for the danger, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. You're in that alternate mindset, and you stay in that mindset forever. That's why drug dealers spend so much money and have such lavish lifestyles, because they're trying to ignite a passion for something, and they can't, because they've forgotten what it's like to enjoy themselves with simple things. So they have to up the stakes. Go on jet skis, go on fucking boats, go and do crazy holidays, buy fast cars, because it's the only way they can notice that they're still alive, because they don't appreciate the
yeah,
things in life.
It's like you said, it's very similar to being in the forces in that way, where especially when when I was out in Afghanistan, you're walking down, you don't know if you're going to get blown up, get shot at, etc., etc.
No,
and then it's like you get home and you're like, oh,
is this it?
Cool.
Yeah, you walk around a shop.
Yeah,
that's it. Then so you become detached.
I noticed this the thing of what you said, where people are in their own bubble and they don't notice things around them. I noticed that when I did surveillance. So I'm out following a bloke who's supposed to be disabled but isn't. I'm recording him. I'm recording him because I did it for benefit cheats. That was my surveillance. And I'm literally using your bog standard video recorder that you get from Curry's. I got a covert one as well, but I'm sat there and I've literally you just pop it out and then you record for 5-10 seconds what they're doing. You flip it closed and you carry on. I was in London once and I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna get it out as in like I'm a tourist.
Like a tourist,
nobody pays attention to you. Apart from once when I was in a park. And that was literally it. That was literally I was filming the subject, getting and I had to go on. I had my earphone in and I was like, just to let you know, I'm about to get possibly compromised. You might want to step in. So I closed my camera and carried on walking. They started to follow me with their phone ready to dial 999, and my oppo stopped them and went, no, we're doing surveillance on this job. Gave them the job number, gave them our IDs, and said, you can ask the police, we are doing surveillance in this area. And they were like, oh, that's lucky, we thought he was filming the kids. I was like, fucking hell.
I did have that myself, mate. I used to do surveillance for insurance fraud.
Same.
For bad backs.
Benefits and insurance,
so once I've been almost fucking, what's the word used? If a crowd come to try and take you away, not hijacked, not fucking lynched.
Oh right,
I was over in Wales, over the bridge. And we had a couple of cars on. We had a van on the house, and the van man, ex-guy from the regiment, said, "Oh, stand by, target's moving." It's an older chap. Say, he's probably in his mid-50s now, which makes me sound really old. And he was bringing his granddaughter to school. Now he had to come out of the house and walk down a long, sort of like winding path on a not main road, but a reasonably busy road, which came down to the school. And outside the school was a number of car parking spaces. So I drove past him, thought I'll plot up. Cameras were this big, mine, back in the 90s, mate. They weren't little. And I'd literally sit and I'll put the camera on the dashboard with a newspaper at the top of it or something, just to get some, or I'd sit back in a seat and I'd film like this, just for fun, just to get something. I'd get him on a Zoom. So I came down, I reversed into this space near the school, I'll get some footage of him walking down the hill. That's all I need. So I'm sat there and I'm fucking filming him like this, and he's walking down. I thought, got me. And then in the peripherals, I'm seeing people standing around, and they're pointing at me. I look up like that, and I looked at, and they said, "What are you doing, mate?" I looked round. I thought, shut. I said, "Get a bit more footage." Said, "Yeah, we got a pedo here. We got a pedo filming the kids." I'm like, "Oh, fucking hell!" I'm like locking the doors. I think, "Fuck me, this is not good." Get a fucking pedo. So I had to sort of like shut the camera down and drive off sharp and said, "Oh, I've been compromised, lads."
I'm
done for being a
I'm
pedo.
out. See you later.
I'm gone. See you back in Bristol.
So,
it's a lovely surveillance days. I really enjoyed it. We had, you'll know yourself, mate. Let's say I did 100 jobs, 99 of those would have been fake, fucking bullshit. We had one genuine one out of the whole lot we did. I never saw one genuine one, but I did it for it was a good couple of years, but I said it tailed off at the end because I was becoming unreliable.
You're unreliable, mate. Unreliable.
I know.
Drug seller. Anyway, we're second break, mate, and then we'll do one more, and then that'll probably be spot on. Anyway. Here he comes. Do the fucking audio again, ain't you? Go turn your audio on, Rich.
Can you hear me right now?
We can. Hey, so annoying. Right. I might just pay for the upgrade.
Is it worth it?
I don't know. I don't know. To be fair, most of like the last few sort of podcasts I've done, I could have gone over the sort of time, but it's like,
yeah,
you sort of know when it's time to sort of end with some guests. But this one's good. This one's still flowing.
It's the one that keeps on giving, mate. Keeps on giving.
It keeps on going. So obviously, like you said, you got involved in the Devil's Dandruff.
Yeah.
Bit of the white powder. When did it all come crashing down?
Yeah, so basically, I come out of this deep dark hole, which is that's what the first book is written about. Charlie 4 Kids. I've emerged from this hole of horrendous financial instability, and it really was bad, mate. It was a difficult time, and I said to myself, I need to get out of this. I've got to find a way to get out, because I can't go through what I went through again. It pretty much nearly killed me, because I was ready to take my life. I'd sat in the car with a knife to my wrist. I was ready to go, and I didn't. Thought of my kids. That epiphany, it made me think, right, no, I'm not going to let this beat me. So I sat to put together an exit strategy. So I did in 2008. I set up Launch Motorsport, which is our motorsport company. And I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. I just knew that I needed to desperately find somewhere. And I was once I'd applied so much energy to paying off this debt that I've been landed with, this 80 grand debt, or it was more than that by the time it finished. Once that debt was paid, I found that the energy I'd used to paying the debt off, I could divert to making money and putting towards me and my missus and my kids. And although they didn't know what was going on, I realized, well, fuck me, I'm really putting some proper money in here. I'm really doing all right. So let's set a motorsport company up, because I want to get it back into me cars. So I love me motors. So I set up this thing, and the plan was to do an event and have like a makeshift quarter mile, if you like, on an airfield. And I didn't really know what to do. So I ended up hiring this airfield called Kemble Airfield near Cirencester. And I basically did it for a promotional shoot. It was just a jolly to go on this airfield and have a bit of a crack. And that's what I did. I invited a car club down. We had about 30 Subarus, a couple of Evos, or a few Evos, and I hired a film crew and a photographer. So right, just do what you want. Make me a demo video for my company, and I'm going to start. I'll start doing events. That was it. I thought I'll start doing events. So we had a day on the airfield, and it was fucking amazing, mate. Driving the cars around, ragging the fuck out of them. We all had a really good time. And then once we finished, the lads, because I let them come free of charge, the lads thought, Rich, you going to do another one? I said, yeah, I don't know, maybe I will. So a couple of months later on, I did another one. Lads loved it again. So that was beginning of 2009. And then they said, we'll pay. Just do more. We want to do more of these. So I did. So I started paying them, charging them 50 quid a head, which is still cheap. Come down the airfield. I'll set up an event. I've got marshals, St. John's Ambulance, literally bought hundreds of traffic cones, made a circuit up. I started doing events right through 2009. And then around, I think it's April, I went to Castle Combe Circuit. I went on my first track day. And I was bitten, mate. I was bitten by the bug so badly. And for the first time ever, I found something which gave me as much of a rush and a way of life and everything else as the army and taking ecstasy and everything else did. It ticked all those boxes again. And I felt I'm actually pretty good at this driving lark as well. So right through 2009, I went to as many track days as I could, as well as doing airfield days. And then in July, I competed in time attack at Brands Hatch, my first professional, or it was amateur, but a professional event competing. Loved it. Went back and did it again in September. So right through 2009, just hit it hard. Absolutely nailed the track days. Spent stupid money on cars, just to get them up to this spec. And I was modifying the fuck out of them. And then 2010, it got even more serious. I thought, this is it now. I'm heading out. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a garage up. I've got a customer base from the events. My name is known out there now in the motorsport industry with the Japanese cars. So 2010, I went semi-professional. I competed in pro time attack and saloon racing in my Evo, and I found it, mate. I found something which actually appealed to me again. I thought, this is it. I finally found something after 15 years of being out of the forces. I finally found something which I enjoyed doing, that, and it could produce a wage. Trouble is, it needed a bit of money thrown into it because it was during a recession, so there wasn't a lot of dosh around. So you'd have been in the forces a couple of years at this stage. So it was hard, mate. It was really hard to try and fund something when no one else is doing well. You're the only person that's actually doing all right. Well, not the only person, but fuck me, where'd this company come from? It just sprung from nowhere. It must have looked awful from the outside looking in. But this guy's done well with relatively no apparent income to inject into it. How the fuck did he do that? So during the 2010 season, it was my best year and my worst year. I opened the garage in October. 1st of October 2010, the garage opened up, and then the arrest started that back into that month. So that was when it started happening. So my good friend, he was my first runner to be taken down, known him since 1986. We go back a very long way. He was arrested and remanded with about 1.25 kilos of coke, and it was a sequence of arrests. Then, even though I was shutting down, there was someone in the background who was the police informant, was kind of, I was supposed, manipulating things in order to secure things for the police. So if I didn't want to say, look, I'm shutting it down, he was running my drug business. If I want to shut down, he would say, let's do another run. No, go on, let's do another one. And he would kind of like, fuck it, we need the money, because he knew I was broke, no money coming in from the drugs. I'd shut down, and we'd do another one, another arrest. And the last bit of coke I ever sold was December 31st, New Year's Eve 2010. That was the last thing I had anything to do with. That was it. Never had anything to do with any sale of any drugs since then. And that was it then. So the arrests for me came some 4 months later on in April. They'd finally got all the stuff they needed.
Yeah.
They knew I was on the way out. They had enough to secure a charge for conspiracy. So they come and nicked me on I think it's the 13th of April 2011. And that was it. They nicked us all, or nicked all of my conspiracy. And then there was another arrest 2 months later on with my suppliers, another conspiracy. And then the police from that one came and arrested me again and charged me again for another conspiracy. So I had 2 charges, 2 counts of conspiracy against me. So I was fucked.
Winning, mate. Fucked. Winning.
Yeah.
In Monopoly, you now can go to jail.
Yeah, do not pass go. Shut down your motorsport
Did
business.
you sort of in the back of your mind know that could have always happened at any moment? You were always sort of living on that edge.
Yeah.
And then it's just a bit of a kick in the nuts that you were winding down, you're about to finish and get out completely, and then they're like, we got you.
Yeah.
Well,
it's exactly that. You kind of all through it from day one. You got people around you getting arrested for varying usually drug related offences, and as you're going through your career and climbing up this ladder, I never get to the top, but I got to regional supply, which is pretty fucking high, and you're seeing people getting arrested near you, getting longer and longer sentences as you're going further down this road, and you're thinking, if I get caught, I'm proper in trouble here. I'm going to be looking at, he's just out of 10, so I'm looking at least 10. In the back of your mind, you should be having your mind ready for the fact that you're going to get nicked. It's going to happen. And that's where it was. So when I finally did get arrested, it wasn't, I knew it was coming because of the arrest. I knew it was just a matter of time. I hoped it wouldn't. And I put as much damage limitation in place as I could leading up to that. But when it happened, it's just a mixture of emotions. You think, first was like, fucking hell, here we go then. And then it's like, you go into just like a semi-state of shock. Not fear, but just shock, because you're trying to process it, but you can't process it because if you've never been arrested before for something of that gravity, it's hard to say. You'll get, a lot of people get arrested for little things, and they build up that process. They get used to that arrest process for a fucking couple of pills or a bit of pot. No, I got arrested for conspiracy to supply cocaine. The first ever arrest was a biggie. So there is no preparation for the gravity of what's about to happen, because most people get a nick for something of that size have normally had a nicking of some kind before. They understand the process. I didn't. I only knew what I'd been told and what I'd seen on telly. You know, so it was a hell of a. It wasn't a shock. It was just a massive thing to try and get your head around. And it was hard because obviously none of my family knew what was going on. So then dealing with that as well as dealing with trying to secure your freedom and everything else, trying to deal with how the fuck do I explain to my loved ones that I've turned into a right cunt? How do I do that?
Yeah, you know the guy that you think you know. Yeah, I also have this. You're welcome.
Yeah. meet the other Rich.
yeah. This is you know Richard. This is Rich.
Yeah, two very different people.
So when you were about to make your way to Her Majesty's privilege, did you then sort of go back on a decline, like you said, you got yourself out of the fucking dark hole, which a lot of forces members were in or have been in? So it was, you know, a lot of my listeners especially will sort of understand what you mean when you say you're in that dark hole, not to the extent of coming from a fucking drug dealing background. But when you were on your way, did you go, oh fucking hell, this is it now?
Yeah, do you know what, the constant exposure to that world is like being on operational duty all the time. Imagine being in Afghanistan for 15 years and you might not be necessarily getting shot at, you might not necessarily be getting blown up, but you run the risk of it all the time, and that's what it's like. So imagine 15 years of being on hyper state of vigilance. It's kind of like takes its toll. So, and I've been exposed to a lot of trauma through risk of kidnap and torture and all these different things which could have happened had I not navigated my way successfully through it. And I've had threats of kidnap, I've had threats of torture, I've had all these threats. They've all come through, and they take their toll, mate. They really do. They battle your mental health. They battle you completely, so that you end up with PTSD. There's no other way to say it, and it's not combat related. And I do feel embarrassed to say that I inherited my PTSD because of my illegal activities. It's shameful because I've got plenty of good veterans out there who are suffering badly.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that, but at the same instance, you know, it's still a horrible thing to have, even though a lot of people will go, well, he fucking deserves that for what he's done. But
yeah, and you know what, I kind of go with it.
Yeah, but also nobody should have to go through battling those types of demons that you do get with depression and PTSD, because that is punishment in itself.
Yeah, it's totally debilitating. And what I found because I didn't know I had it. I honestly didn't know I had PTSD. I knew I suffered with stress and anxiety. That was proper bad. And my mate from the charity called the Bridge Charity, chap called Quarterback, delivers the MDR, and he's brilliant. And he'd said to these, he's used to come in the prisons and help veterans, and he's helped a lot of people. And he said, you do know you've got PTSD. I said, I am. I said, it's just me being a fucking idiot from my days. I've just got to deal with it. And it's typical standard squaddy thing. No, I can help you with your anxiety and your stress, and because I didn't realize I had triggers. I had so many triggers, which I didn't even realize, and I didn't know I had them, because my triggers were knocks on the door. Because when you're involved in drugs, if you get a knock on the door, it's very rarely is it good news. It's always going to be the police or someone coming to kidnap you. So automatically, I get a knock on the door, and I'll go into a hyper state of fucking readiness. I'll be reaching for whatever's near me, like the kitchen, knives, fucking bedroom, baseware. I'd be unrealistically fucking stupid. And he said your triggers are door knocking, certain ringtones, a whole number of different things. Some particular phone calls which I'd received, which were quite worrying, shall I say. So he said, look, let me treat you for this PTSD. So when I've been out of prison for about a year, and it was during the lockdown, medical, so he was allowed to come and see me. It was in 2020. And he came and sat in my little house, and he sat down, he got his kit out for his EMDR kit with his light strobe in the front and these two little vibrating love eggs, pebbles they were, which hold on to.
You love eggs.
And he said, right, off we go. And me love eggs, mate. I didn't insert them. And I just started, and that was it. And 40 minutes later on, I was fixed, mate. I was better. Literally 40 minutes later on, no more anxiety, no more stress, no more triggers. The door could knock whenever it liked. It didn't matter. It didn't bother me anymore. And I couldn't believe it, how it worked.
That's some sort of fucking Harry Potter shit, that, mate. That's Harry Potter shit.
Very good.
Who is this wizard?
Yeah,
and why is he not giving more money? Give that guy all the money.
Exactly, mate. Well, EMDR is quite. Give him all the dosh. He's setting up a retreat in Bulgaria now for veterans to go and deal with their PTSD. He's just setting it up now. But if anyone has got PTSD or triggers or anxiety and stress, Google EMDR therapy music. Listen to that. Follow the instructions. And the other one is Google the EMDR butterfly hug. This is self-help methods. Cool. Works with your extremities and your left and right brain hemispheres, and it helps to settle your triggers. So it's really good stuff, mate. It's very clever. EMDR itself is amazing. It works with the majority of people, but the butterfly hug and that is good stuff you can do on your own if you're suffering. So, mate, life changing, absolutely life changing. It's brilliant.
That's awesome. So, Rich is going to give me all that information. I'll put it in the fucking bio bit. We'll get that out to you fuckers.
That bit down there.
Yeah, that bit down there. The stuff I've spoke about, the methods that I used to help me with my shit. I went through a company, a very good friend of mine now, Al McGregor in Inner Armour, and unfortunately Inner Armour is no longer a thing, which is an absolute it's a huge shame. Basically, he was trying to get involved with the police and the military. His stuff, it fucking works. It worked with me. It works with everyone. It's based on a Swedish technique where Swedish or Swiss, Swedish. Basically, you use Lego basically, and you go through your traumas and you build them. And then you explain them and getting you to talk about it through so you could build whatever. I built loads of shit, and you talk through it. And then the next one would be your journey to getting better. How would you see that? And then you'd build it, and then you would talk about it. And basically, the more you're building and talking, the more of the release that you get. And then that's one stage.
Do you think that's part of...
carry on.
Do you think that using a Lego with your hand is in the principle using the extremities of left and right brain? So you're talking about something, and therefore you're rewiring your brain. Yeah.
It could well be. I'm not. I'm no fucking subject matter expert. But the other one. There's certain questions. I'd have to get the sheet out. I've got the sheet. And I think it's 26 questions. You literally ask these 26 questions, and then you show a bit of empathy with the reaction that they give back, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's like how you would say something like, "Oh, but how did you feel about giving that?" And then they would then speak about that again, and then you're like, "All right, you said this earlier.
Yeah,
did you?" And then literally, I went through it, and by the end of it, I was like, "Oh, I never really thought of that. I didn't even realize that." It's just these little things. And then there's one to help calm you down. Was the perfect day. So you would go through your perfect day, but everybody starts the same because they don't realize the actual technique. So it starts that you go, your perfect day, what time do you get up? And you go, well, I usually get up about 9 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever it is. But he's like, no, it's your perfect day. You can get up whenever you want. It doesn't matter. You could sleep all day.
Right, yeah.
And you're like, right, it's my perfect day. And then you like sort of go, right. And then you'll describe, you like, where are you in the world? Oh, I'm in fucking Malta. Who are you with? Oh, I'm with my family because they make me feel happy. All right, what are you doing with you? And then it's like, by the end of it, you're like, I feel fucking really good. It's brilliant.
See, it gets you to think outside the box a little bit then of what
It's definitely an outside of the box. It's definitely an outside of the box sort of course.
Yeah.
But definitely works.
What's it called?
It's called Inner Armor.
What's it called? Has it got a particular name?
Yeah, it literally was called Inner Armor. He's now in schools doing psychology, positive psychology goes through. And I think he does one-to-one lectures and things like that now. He is really, really good. And it's just a shame that his baby didn't take off because it was something else. I'll send you the link to the two episodes that he did with me. He did part 1 before I did the course or the coaching from him.
Yeah.
And then part 2, and it's 2 completely different sort of Tommos, you might say. But we've done a big full round trip now, Jonah.
Mate.
What's going on now? So you're now reformed, you might say, a respectable member of society. So you're not an absolute drug selling cunt. You're
no, I'm just a cunt.
But you're giving back now, though. You're giving back. You're doing stuff within the nick.
So basic. Yeah, so I've got a contract or a loose contract with 2 prisons, as I said, G4S, delivering my program, Project TLS. So I've got a website. If anyone does see it, it's project-tls.co.uk. We'll stick it on the thing. That's what I'm doing in the prisons. I'm supporting veterans in custody. I'll start writing the next book, hopefully this month, because I'm going to have a little bit of time to do that. So that's part 3, which is going to be called Overseas Operations, which is a continuation from Charlie 4 Kilo. I've just got I'm just cutting through the red tape to support young offenders, but it's like the youth offending team, but they're not quite going to prison yet, but they're getting close. So I'm spending time with these sort of young people. It's not set yet, but we've been really trying to get through this for about a year now. So that's going to be happening fairly soon. Yeah, there's loads, mate. There's loads, as well as being a dad and someone's boyfriend. So yeah, it's really busy times. Yeah, there's never enough hours in the day, really. But
it never is, mate. There never is.
It's nice because I'm doing. There is, mate. I'm happy to do 16, 17-hour days because it's doing something which I love. So I'm happy to do all the hours in the world, as long as I'm doing the right thing. So
it's that old saying, isn't it? If you enjoy doing it, it's not really work.
Exactly, mate. And it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't mean it doesn't come without its. How can I put it? It's weird going back into the prisons.
Yeah.
To deliver a course, especially if it's a prison that I might be familiar with. It's weird going in because of you going back into the jail, get used to that environment again. That's odd, but it's nice to walk out. Walk home every day.
Yeah, not going back into the cell and having the door shut, which has got to be a weird feeling anyway. Going back to your time inside. That must have been really strange. Like I had little stories from my old man. Obviously, my old man was a prison officer in Gloucester. So, but he had a very good rapport with the cons, that were in there. That they called him Mr.
Gloucester
Tom.
Joel's really good.
I think
Yeah.
With my old man, I think because of he's how do you put it? He's got a presence. Like you sort of know he's not someone that you. Bearing in mind, I don't even think my dad's had a proper real fight ever, really, because he doesn't need to. He's one of those sort of guys that you're like, oh well, we'll just leave him. He's got a very gruff, sort of rough voice. He's very deep, and like if he raises his voice, you're like, oh fucking hell, chill out. Like he's one of those type of guys. And he just had a good rapport with the cons, like, and
that happens though, mate, because you get some really decent offers in there, and if they've got some basic life skills, which most people of a certain age should develop those anyway. They make a good officer. They just got to treat you right. And you know, being locked up in a cell is one of the most. If you know you're there and you can't, and you ain't, you do when you're doing your time and you're in that routine, and you've been out working all day, because we do have jobs. We keep ourselves in some sort of productive activity, earning a little bit of money, having a few things away if we can. Do you know what's the nice thing about that day? When they lock you up at night, you get there, they bang you up, 7:30, lock the door out, and you think, oh, you're totally safe. You're totally devoid of any responsibility. You've got nothing to do, especially on a weekend. You get locked up at, say, 4:30. It's fucking lovely, mate, because your door locks, you're bound out until the next morning, so 8:30 in the morning, you're just in your own space. If you're in your own cell, that is. Get your Xbox on the go, watch a bit of telly. You know, you just chill out, mate, and you feel so safe, because if you do suffer with PTSD, stress or anxiety, you know that there ain't no safer place to be is in that cell. So all of a sudden you can switch off. You can switch off that anxiety, because ain't no one coming in. The only thing that triggers it is if you had a keys go past it early in the morning when you're not supposed to be unlocked. It means someone's getting ghosted. There's nothing worse than hearing the keys go outside your cell at, say, 6 in the morning or 6:30. You know someone's going. So that's never good. But other than that, mate, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
I'd rather be at home, mine, but
as things go, you know. Did you ever feel like on edge from any of the other cons in there, or is there like fucking big wigs and like you see in the fucking movies? You got fucking Don John over there, fucking being Billy Big Bollocks. Or is there people trying to make a name for themselves?
You've got like, not really, mate. It's like if you're a bit more mature, the grown-ups, i.e. anyone that's say over 30 or over 35 maybe, in that environment are generally pretty sensible, and they're not interested in the bullshit. Anyone that's over that age is being a dickhead. It's just a pure dickhead anyway. Just ignore them. They're not even worth a wank.
Yeah.
So most people are generally pretty settled. So you just tend to get on with it, mate. You just get on with it. You've got big lads. You've got big, dangerous lads who are capable of causing absolute mayhem, but they're not, because they don't need to. They don't have to. No one's. When you're in for a long sentence, for example, you've got nothing to prove, because you're already proven the fact you're in the higher tier, if you like, of the criminal world, because you're getting a 15 or 20 years. So the guys passing through on the short sentences, not all, but the ones which are problematic, kicking off or doing the shits and shades, they're doing 18 months. They stay the fuck away from you, because to you, they're like long-termer, mate, lifers. They don't come anywhere near you. Just leave you alone. So I've never had any problems, no dramas, no issues.
That's saying, isn't it? All you've got is time. Well, why would you want to make life? Why would you want to make life more difficult for yourself inside by kicking off all the time?
Yeah, and plenty of people do. Plenty of people just don't know how to do it. They can't do prison the right way. They can't help themselves, or they just don't get it. Maybe their mental health is a problem. So,
like Charlie Bronson, he
speaking,
loves
mate,
a bit of prison.
Exactly, mate. Old Charlie can't get enough.
He loves a bit of prison. That is a crazy. Well, I've read the book and seen the movie, obviously, and sort of know the story. But it's as though he was attached to prison a bit too much. When he got out, he was like, I don't know what to do. I need to get back in.
Yeah, definitely, mate. He found somewhere where he actually meant something, where he was somebody. And that's the thing, is in prison, some people who get this form of recognition inside, they feel like there's somebody important inside. They're not. It's a storm in a teacup. When they get out, they don't feel like they're anybody at all. That's not their world. So it's sad, really, mate. It's really sad.
But yeah, I'm really chuffed though that you've spun it around and you're now helping people rehabilitate themselves on the way out. And like you said, helping kids that are on the verge of becoming fucking dickheads, mate. I don't know if I sent it to you, but I definitely put it on my story on Instagram the other day. I was shocked, mate, but it is literally what London is like in places. And there was this, from what I've heard, she was actually a disabled lady, but she's surrounded by a group of school kids in South Norwood, which is a shithole. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm in Kent. I can call you guys shitholes. Anyway, but she's surrounded by all these kids. They've literally, it's like the end of school or something like that. And someone has started gobbing off to this lady, and she's taken offense. And by all accounts, she's disabled. So she's lashed out and hit this kid.
Yeah.
She's older than him by a stretch. He could only be 14, 15 max, I would say. Yeah. But this cunt pulls out a fucking knife and stabs her. I'm like,
no way.
Yeah, but it's not once. Like he hits her with a knife, she falls down, and he gets her a couple of more times. I don't think they were fatal blows because he's fucking poking her a bit with this knife. But it's like, why the fuck are you carrying a knife to school?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I just don't get it. But I was saying to me, Mrs. I was like, that's why I hate going to London, because luckily when we do go to London, we go to the touristy spots, so it's a bit different. But when I was working for Loomis, doing the cash in transit, even when I was doing surveillance, I was working in London, but not in London. I was in the horrible bits.
And mate, it's horrible.
Fucking not.
It's horrible. They just got no value for life. They don't. Everything's been devalued so much, and I don't know why that is. It just seems to be. It's just getting progressively worse and worse. And I think it's maybe some people have come from slightly more hardy backgrounds from different countries. Maybe life means less where they've come from. Therefore, they're stabbing the fuck out of people, and maybe people that aren't used to that have taken up arms as a case of shit, man. These guys are just stabbing you because they don't give a fuck. So I'm going to carry on because I might need to protect myself. I don't know. It
is crazy though, because obviously you're Bristol originally. You're from, aren't you? And I'm Hereford. Like, I don't know what it's like. Bristol, a bit of a bigger city than Hereford. I don't think it's much bigger, but it's definitely a bigger city. But
there's certainly no shit.
Like, I remember I'd go out on the piss, and if you got in a scuffle with someone, you got into a fist fight. I think one of my brother's close mates did get stabbed a few times on a night out. Like, that was like a oh my god, someone's been stabbed. Like, it wasn't like in North London now where it's like, oh, someone's been stabbed again. It's as though like they shrug it off. Higher ups, I mean, like the fucking dickhead mayor of London and Boris.
It's like, not bothered. They're not fussed.
It's like, oh, it's fucking madness.
Oh well, it's another one. Not to worry, they'll soon run out of people to stab.
But they're the first ones to start going, well, it's not like America. They shoot people. It's like, there's probably more knife incidences than people getting shot. But I don't know. That's another rabbit hole that we could go down for another time.
Yes, indeed.
But Rich, like I said earlier, you get to a point where it's like, we'll leave it and then we'll continue another time. And not only because it's coming up to 9, which is awesome. What a fucking episode this has been. You're getting a bit dark, mate.
I can just see my head. I could just I see my arms and my head. It's like a green screen.
Yeah, mate.
I know we've lost the light.
We've
The
lost the
sun's
light.
gone down.
And,
I know I could put a light on, but it might flicker a little bit.
Yeah, you could. You could. And to be fair, I haven't seen the long-haired colonel yet, and she'll probably be going, "Oh, you said it was going to be a short one." I always say that. She knows different though.
Yeah.
I always say that. How long's your podcast going to be? Wow, could it? It'll only be a short one. 2.5 hours later.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way we roll, mate.
That's
the
how
way
we roll. But mate, what a story!
Yes,
and seriously, my honor, my privilege to have you on. It was fucking very eye-opening. And next time you'll be in the guest seat. We'll do it properly.
Yeah, mate, definitely. Thanks for having me on, bud. I've enjoyed it. It's good to meet you as well. It'll be nice to see you and get down in the shed and just have a proper chat.
Definitely,
Indeed.
mate.
Indeed, mate.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, sir. And I'll catch you again soon.
Bud. Look after yourself.
Cheers, buddy.
Yes, mate. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Catch you in a bit.